In the quiet village of Glimmerford, surrounded by thick woods and constant mist, there stood a tree older than any house, older than the roads, older even than the graves. Locals called it the Whisper Tree. It had no leaves. Never had. Even in spring, its twisted branches stretched into the sky like claws, bare and black as charcoal. The bark was cracked and deep lines ran through it like veins. At its base was a hollow, dark and jagged, large enough for a child to crawl through. But no child ever did. Because the tree whispered. Not loudly. Not during the day. But at night, when the fog was thick and the air still, people said you could hear it murmuring in a voice that was not quite human, not quite wind. A curious girl. 9-year-old Eliza had always been curious. The kind of child who poked dead things with sticks, who wandered off the path just to see where it led. She lived with her grandmother near the woods and often played alone while her grandmother worked. One day she heard the other kids whispering about the Whisper Tree again. They say it speaks if you get close enough. My brother heard it say his name. My uncle went missing after touching it. That was all Eliza needed. That night, after her grandmother went to sleep, Eliza snuck out with a lantern, a blanket, and her old stuffed rabbit. She followed the mist-covered trail through the woods until she saw it. The tree. Tall, twisted, silent. At first, she sat down at its roots, wrapped in her blanket. The moonlight flickered through the fog. Her lantern cast long shadows. And then, she heard it. A whisper. Faint. Eliza. She froze. It could have been the wind. But it said her name. Exactly like her grandmother did, only slower. Too slow. Wrong. She stood to run, but the tree whispered again. Eliza, stay. She turned. The hollow at the base of the tree looked bigger now. Deeper. Something inside it moved. Into the tree. She didn't remember walking forward, but she was standing right at the hollow. The whisper was louder now. More voices. They didn't call her name anymore. They argued. Fought. Cried. She leaned forward just a little. And then she fell in. The fall didn't hurt. She landed on something soft. Dirt? Moss? It was hard to tell. Everything was dark. Not nighttime dark. Mouth of a creature dark. Eliza stood slowly, holding her breath. There were shapes around her. Tree roots but twisted like bones. Faces, carved into the walls. Or were they real? Their eyes followed her. Mouths frozen open, screaming. She turned to climb back out, but there was no way up. No light. Just the whispers. Then she heard footsteps. Something else was down there. And it wasn't whispering. The thing in the roots. It walked like it had too many legs. Its breath was wet and hungry. She backed away, heart pounding in her chest like a drum. Her lantern had shattered when she fell. But she still had the rabbit. Clutching it to her chest, she whispered, Please, let me go. And then she heard a new voice. Behind her. Soft. Kind. Time to come home, Eliza. She turned. It was her grandmother. But not quite. Her face was pale, her eyes too bright. Her shadow stretched in the wrong direction. Still it reached out a hand. Eliza didn't move. The thing with too many legs came closer. Fast now. She had to choose. She grabbed the hand. Waking up. Eliza woke in her bed, gasping. Morning light streamed through the curtains. Her stuffed rabbit was next to her. She ran to her grandmother in the kitchen. She hugged her and didn't let go for a long time. Everything seemed normal. Except the tree was gone. She asked her grandmother about it. There's no tree like that in these woods, she said, sipping tea. But everyone talks about it. Her grandmother just smiled. People say lots of things. And Eliza noticed something else. Her rabbit? It had mud on it. And in the folds of its fabric, tree bark. No one ever found the Whisper Tree again. Not on maps. Not in the forest. But on certain misty nights, children still hear their names carried on the wind. And if you follow the voice, you might find something waiting. Just don't fall in. And don't take its hand. Because if you do, you'll never be quite the same again. The end. Second story. Title, The 1207. There was a train that ran through the valley town of Elms Hollow, the Elms Line they called it. It hadn't run in over 30 years, but some say if you stand on the old platform late enough at night and listen closely, you can still hear the whistle. Locals warn newcomers not to go near the tracks after dark. Not because of wildlife or trespassing laws, but because of the 1207. It started with a man named Thomas Grady. He moved into the town looking for peace, away from the noise, the stress, the city. He rented a small house just off the edge of the old station. The first week everything was fine. Then came the dreams. Every night at exactly 12:07 a.m., He'd wake up drenched in sweat, heart pounding, hearing the sound of a train pulling into a station. He told himself it was his imagination. Maybe echoes from old memories or wind through the trees. But one night, curiosity got the better of him. At 12:06 he stood on the platform. Darkness surrounded him. No streetlights worked nearby. Just the moon and the stars above. Then, a low whistle. The rails began to hum. And out of nowhere, flickering lanterns appeared down the track, rolling toward him like ghosts in the fog. A steam train emerged, blackened wood, rusted iron, and eyes glowing from its windows. The doors slid open with a shriek of metal. Inside no one sat, just rows of empty seats, and the faint smell of burning coal and wet earth. A voice crackled from the speakers, distorted and ancient. Final stop, Elms Hollow. All aboard. Thomas didn't move. He couldn't. His legs were frozen. The train waited. 1 second. 2. Then the doors slammed shut and it vanished down the track, disappearing into the mist. He ran home, swore he'd never return. But the next night, he woke up on the platform again. Exactly at 12:07. Since then, others have seen it too. People who live near the tracks report missing loved ones showing up in mirrors, standing on the platform in the dead of night. Some say if you hear the whistle and ignore it, you'll be fine. Others say once it calls your name, you're already on the list.